Hello and welcome to Take You to School with Dr. Tom Prichard. I am your host, JP John Poz from the Two Man Power Trip of Wrestling. Of course, joining me is the star of the show, the former 8-time Smoky Mountain Wrestling Tag Team Champion, the former WWE World Tag Team Champion, and one of the greatest trainers ever in the history of the business, the Doctor of Desire, Tom Prichard. Dr. Tom, how you doing today, sir?
And John, I'm doing great today. Can we add something to that resume? I am a technical moron. So there you go. I'm doing great other than that.
You're not good with technology. There's no doubt about that.
No, I'm not really good with technology. I'm not good with a lot of things right now, but we'll discuss that at a later time. So everything else is great here in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Nice. So, of course, with taking you to school, we're doing a lot of different things. Last week, we were talking to Heath Slater, your buddy, who visited you at JPWA. This week, we'll have a different topic. But what happened last week after we left you and Heath? Anything good happen?
You know, we were already done with promos. Heath kind of came in that Wednesday and sat back, watched, and gave his bit of advice, gave his input to our guys, and then he went and rested because he had a long day. The next day, came in and trained with the guys, and of course Friday night he trained with the guys, got a good sweat going. He just wanted to get in the ring, see how he felt, and then we went out to eat, talked about good old times and good future times, and I think the future looks bright for Mr. Heath Slater.
He looks like he's getting in great shape. That's for sure.
Man, he walked in, he's as big as a house. I mean, he's built pretty solid, close to 250 pounds, if you can believe that. But he's one of those guys that looks bigger than he really is when you stand next to him, or he looks bigger than you think he is. Let me say it's like that. Right. Jeff Jarrett's the same kind of guy. When you look at Jeff, you don't realize how big he is until you actually get in the ring with him or stand next to him. The same thing with Heath. He's been working out. He's been staying in great shape. Looking forward to finding out what his future holds and seeing where he's going to end up at. So he's got a great attitude, positive attitude. He seems to be healthy, and looking forward to moving on to the next horizon, whatever that may be.
I love when different guys pop in the JPWA. Literally, we've been talking about it for a year and a half. Just the random people that show up. Brother Brucey can show up. The Undertaker can just show up out of nowhere. Sheamus. It's pretty amazing when you think about it.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. A lot of the guys just they're on their way passing through, or they want to come in and get in the ring and know it's a place where they're not going to be hassled or not going to be bothered, and they can relax and get a good workout with the guys. So Heath was that guy last week that wanted to come in. I'm sure before the end of the year is out, we're going to have some more people stop by, and that's always good to see, from Sasha Banks, Bailey, Natty Neidhart, and people like that who want to stop in and see what we were doing in the first year. And like you said, all the way up to Sheamus, Undertaker, and a lot of other people. We're hoping that all the guys get to stop by one time or another and say hi to the guys. Say hi to our crew at JPWA.
Of course, the J is the Jacobs, the Kane. Obviously, he's lurking, right? The big red machine's always lurking.
The big red machine actually showed up on Monday. He actually stopped by, yes, Labor Day. He came by. Saw the girls, saw the guys get in the ring, and so he hung around for a little bit. He's interested. He's still monitoring what's going on at the school, and he wants to see what kind of talent we have. That's the great thing about it. He's certainly the Knox County mayor, and that's his number one priority, but he still loves the business. He still loves seeing young talent get in there and enjoy themselves, and he likes to enjoy himself too. It's one of those things that once it's in you, and that's always good to see, because you can see the kid's eyes light up when he walks through the door, and he's a great guy. He's a great guy to talk to, and once you find that out, it puts another light on the JPWA because we're all looking for the same thing. We want everybody to be successful and fulfill their dreams, whatever that may be. Not everybody has the same ideas or dreams. So when Glenn walks in, of course, he's an iconic superstar, and he's one of those guys that everybody wants to say hi to or acknowledge, and have him acknowledge them, and he's great at doing that. So, and everybody else who stopped by has been great at offering advice if asked, or even if unasked. They'll tell you what they think and tell you what their suggestions would be to move on and be creative about who you are as a wrestler or a performer or a superstar or whatever it may be. So I'm waiting to see who's going to come by next.
With JPWA, I feel like that not necessarily, but it could be a fast track to WWE just because of your relationship with WWE, Kane's relationship with WWE, obviously your history of training The Rock and Mark Henry and Kurt Angle and the cast of others. So I feel like for anybody out there that wants to get some good training and wants to go WWE, I mean that could be a nice little fast track, possibly, depending on the talent.
Well, here's the deal. I think that, of course, there are no guarantees in professional wrestling. There's no guarantees in life, but everybody comes through. They have their own idea of what they want to do. Not everybody wants to go to WWE. Some people just want to wrestle close to home. Some people want to go to Impact or AEW or whatever it may be. So, but what they will find with us, especially 5 nights a week, Monday and Tuesday, 4 hours, excuse me, in-ring training. Wednesday is 2 hours of promos and creative. And so Thursday and Friday is the same thing, in-ring training for 4 hours. And, you have your way, I have my way, the right way, the only way does not exist. There's a lot of great schools out there, but everybody has their style. Everybody has their way of doing things. Doesn't make it right, doesn't make it wrong. But I think if you're going to pay a lot of money come to learn how to wrestle, I am going to concentrate on that. I'm going to concentrate on the wrestling, give you the basics and fundamentals. And you're going to find out that you may thought it was easy, but it's not. If you've never been in the ring before, or if it's been a while since you've been in the ring, you'll find out that if you don't relax and you're wound up pretty tight, you're going to be nervous and you're going to blow up pretty quick. And the key to that is repetition, 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 learning how to relax and slow down. And that's a key element that everybody will find out when they come through the doors at JPWA, because the basics and fundamentals never go out of style. You have to learn how to relax. You have to learn how to do it over and over and over again, not so you can get it right, but so you can't get it wrong. And that's the approach we take. So a lot of repetition goes into it. I try to step back and watch the different personalities and watch the different body types that do everything they can to get through the drills. Some guys do it better than others. And while some guys may not be as physically capable, they may have a creative streak, and they may be able to talk, they may be able to tell me a story that entertains and sucks you into it. So we cover a lot of things here, man. And after we're in the 10th week right now, this class, and it's a 12-week program. And I tell you, when you get to about week number 7, you get on people's nerves, they get on your nerves, and it's one of those things where it either pushes you or crushes you. And I think that's the turning point I've found with some people. You get the ones who never miss a day, and then you get the ones about 6 weeks in where they can't make it because they're sore or something happened. I mean, if you've never done this before, never taken a bump, never done this kind of activity, it can take its toll on you. But the only way to learn how to do it is do it, and repetition, repetition, repetition.
Now we have some somewhat late breaking news as we're recording this. Don't know if you saw this or heard about it, but Triple H was in the hospital recently. He had a cardiac event, they called it. I've never heard of that expression before, but obviously it had something to do with his heart. It seems like it's a mild heart attack or something of that nature, but they're reporting it's something genetic. It's part of his history, his family history, and that he's due to make a full recovery. I don't know if you saw that or heard about that.
Yeah, I actually did. I heard about it earlier. And, somebody actually called me to let me know if I hadn't seen it. So as soon as they called, I looked it up and I saw that. But life is stressful enough as it is, and I got to tell you, and I say this all the time, up there in Stanford, everybody works hard. It may not seem like it, but they do. They get a bad rap in thinking that they're really trying to kill the company, which makes no sense, or they're trying to bury something, which makes really no sense. And the stress is unimaginable if you've never been in that environment. And Hunter, I don't know what stress he's been under, but I can only imagine because it's that climate. You can feel the climate. If AEW's doing a great job or signing people and getting people to talk and do some real needle moving on TV, then that's one thing. But I think it's just a matter of trying to figure out, trying to read the mind of all the people who make the decisions. It's got to be a tough time up there right now, but it's a tough time up there all the time. So stress is part of the job. You know that when you go into it. And Hunter's been doing this for years. He's an old school guy, but he also understands how Vince works. He understands how the business works. He certainly understands how WWE works. And all the changes they're trying to talk about, and people have all the answers until they're right there, on the battlefield. And those guys are on the battlefield. They know what's going on. They're not, 1,000 miles away or 2,000 miles away trying to run the war. They're actually in the middle of it. And I know Hunter believes in NXT, and I know he believes in his system. You have to. And if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. But you have to change as you go along. I learned that a long time ago too. If you don't change, you're out. And one thing that's not going to change up there, though, is the stress level, because you're only as good as your last show. You're only as good as your last match, and you're only as good as what you produce. And if NXT is his baby, if NXT is Triple H's baby, and he's been nurturing it all these years, and somebody comes along and says, "No, we're going to make a drastic change," then I understand. I've been in that position. I've been right, not where Hunter is, but I've been in that position where they say, look, we're not going to do your way anymore. We're going to make a change, and we're going in different directions. Politically correct, I guess, is what they say. You tell everybody, we just don't need you. We're going in a different direction. So I don't think Hunter's going to have to worry about a job anytime soon, but I think he might have to, I don't know if it's medication he needs or something to keep the stress at a equal level, or at least a moderate level that isn't going to kill him. Let's hope, because a heart attack, no matter how small it is a pretty serious deal. And I don't know if they cut him open or had to just go through his growing. I don't know, man, but I did hear about it. And I hope he gets better. I hope anybody gets better with a condition like that. That's can't be any fun. I've never had a heart attack. Don't want to have one unless it's a big one. Take me away. But stress is a killer, and that's why I tell everybody too. I'm not going to beat my head against the wall anymore. And Hunter doesn't need to beat his head against the wall anymore. But I think it's that striving for success and striving for excellence. That when you sign on with WWE, that's going to be a prevalent factor in your life.
Looks like, who knows for sure, but looks like his wrestling days maybe done. I know he's 50 anyway, and he was probably winding down. Although who knows? Goldberg's 54, he's still wrestling. But it just seems like with the heart condition and everything, I know he's expecting to make a full recovery. It just seems like I don't know if you'd ever put him in the ring again. Could be the end of his in-ring career.
Well, maybe, but I mean, look, I used to think, and me and a couple other guys used to say, hey, we want to wrestle into our 60s like the Sheik from Detroit, not the Iron Sheik. But and then you
And
get to
far,
that point, and you start adding up the injuries, unless you're Ric Flair or Ricky Morton. And Ricky Morton's a damn freak of nature too, because he goes out there and busts his ass every weekend, and he loves it. He still loves the business. I love the business, but I can't go out and do what I used to do. And I'm slower. I'll embarrass myself. But you have guys like Ric Flair. You have guys like Hunter who really love the business, and it's hard to step away and not be active, unless it is something like this where the demand. The doctor tells you if you get in the ring, there's a possibility that you may not survive. Those are pretty heavy words. But when you have a heart attack, that's a pretty heavy event. So if you go in the ring and the doctor tells you you may not make it out, well, what do? I mean, I think Hunter's smart enough to know if his health is at risk. He has kids, he has daughters, and I think he wants to live for that. And I think he's come to the realization years ago that while wrestling is very important and it was the main focus of life, when it comes right down to it, as a lot of us have found out the hard way, it really does come down to family. And you may be able to have a great match or your 5-10 star match, whatever you want to do. But in the end, if you don't have anybody there to share it with, it really means nothing. And so I think Hunter's smart enough to know and take doctor's advice. I hope he would be. And I hope he's okay. I mean, I'm sure he is. I think he's 52, actually. So that's still young, but at the same time, he's been doing this for a while too, and at a high level. And now he's in the office part of it, where no matter what you say, everybody works hard and everybody plays hard, and it's all part of the game up there. You got to play hard, work hard, and produce every time you go out.
I wonder if any of that has to do. I know they're saying it's genetic and it has to do with the family history, and he's fine and everything else. But you're saying stress. I was thinking stress too, especially with the AEW stuff. Like, okay, you lost AEW and Vince blew up. Apparently Vince was pissed that they lost. So now Bruce and Vince are overseeing NXT. They literally changed the logo, which was a typical Triple H weird skull, whatever the heck you want to call logo. They changed it to something more friendly or more what Vince wants, with the different color scheme and I don't know. It looks like Dude Love or something out there. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what it's supposed to be, but they changed that. It's supposed to be going to change creative direction. They want the bigger guys, no more midgets, stuff like that. So I feel like that stress, it's got to get to Triple H too, because Vince is right on him now.
Well, I think anytime there's a shakeup, or anytime there's a buzz, anytime there's a reaction, there's a counter reaction. And I don't know that the environment or the lay of the land could be any different than it is. They brought in Tony Khan to replace Barrios and whoever else was.
Nick Khan.
Okay. Well, they made changes, and all of a sudden, I know what it's like to be told one thing and then something else happens. In other words, I read on the internet that Hunter didn't know about any of the firings from NXT. Didn't realize that, or wasn't in the loop. And for a guy that close to NXT and that on the 4th floor in Stamford, or the 2nd floor, whatever floor he has right now, for that to happen, that's a body blow to me. But then again, it may not have been. you know, who knows the truth unless you're in those meetings or unless you're right there listening to it. So I hesitate to speculate. How's that? Hesitate to speculate
Ooh, I like
on
that.
what the real story is unless I'm there and I hear with my own ears. So a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, no doubt, and everybody's trying to figure out what's going on. And I do know that there are some decisions that are made in the heat of the moment, and they're going to let it ride as long as they can let it ride, and then make another decision. And regardless of what we think, again, we're not there, but regardless of what you or I think, or wrestling fans think, these are the guys on the front line. Whether it's Vince, Bruce, John, Kevin Dunn, whoever it is on the front line, they're the first ones to get the ratings and have to figure out what do we need to do to right this ship. I couldn't tell you. Those are the guys who have to really rack their brains and have to understand. And every show they're looking at the numbers, and I don't know if they're that incredibly focused and determined on every single show that they're in competition with AEW. How could you not be? I mean, it's the nature of the beast. It's the nature of the business. And I think Vince is in competition with anyone he comes across. I think Vince is just competitive, and he doesn't want to lose a $2 bet, much less a $200 million bet. And I can't imagine the stress. And if there was a time where he said, we've got to move the needle, get the ratings up, or else, what's he going to do? How's he going to change things? Well, he'll go against your mandates of let's get the best independent guys out there. He doesn't like 5'7", 175-pound guys.
Right.
Okay, that's his prerogative. It's his company still. So, when you believe in your vision, but he doesn't, I can imagine that would be a very, very stressful event at holiday gatherings for everybody. Family gatherings. Yeah.
Now, right now, Raw is really struggling. NXT struggling a bit. Maybe they're right in the ship. Who knows there? But SmackDown seems to be the best show on TV for wrestling. And if you believe what I'm hearing, and if everyone kind of believes what they're reading, Michael P.S. Hayes has a lot to do with the creative direction of your buddy with Roman Reigns and the subject that I want to talk to you today, the Usos. So it's interesting to think that, okay, Raw could be so bad. Let's let Michael Hayes maybe work a little bit with the Raw guys. But no, he's strictly, supposedly, who knows, with Reigns working, which is the best storyline in wrestling by far for probably, better part of a year.
Well, you have Roman Reigns, you have Paul Heyman, you do have Michael Hayes, a creative.
Yep.
And Michael has always been a creative guy. We've already been through this last couple of weeks. I don't want to kiss Michael's ass at all, but I have to give him credit because the guy is good. The guy's great what he does. But you have to have the talent to be able to back it up. You could be the greatest director in the world, but if you don't have the right stars for your movie, it doesn't matter how great you direct them. Nobody wants to see those guys. So if you have Roman Reigns and you have Paul Heyman and you have the Usos, I have to tell you, from day one, the Usos were natural. And in FCW especially, they did things that nobody else did. And one of them was when they would grab a rear chin lock and they slid into that move and they grabbed it with finesse and they grabbed it with body language and you knew these guys were some badasses, and they are. They're badasses. They're legitimate. They're authentic. Roman Reigns is legitimate and authentic, and so is Paul Heyman. So Heyman isn't playing a part. That's Paul, 24/7, and you can appreciate that if you know him, and you don't have to depend on him, I guess, to make a living. But he is that guy, and he's easy to hate, but at the same time, he's easy to love because he's so warm and engaging, and he wants you to love him, and he knows the stories to tell. He knows the words to hit. He knows the trigger points, and he knows how to coax you into that warm blanket he has. And it's such safe arms to let me just hold you, and everything will be okay. Yeah, you know it's a crock of shit, but at the same time, it's authentic. That's Paul. He wants to believe it, and he wants you to believe it. And he wants to believe that you believe, but he knows deep down inside, he has an evil streak to him. So with the guys on SmackDown, like Roman Reigns and the Usos, the Samoans in wrestling have had a legacy from, the 50s. And I don't even know who the first one was, but the first actual superstar, Maivia, or Nef Maiva, or whatever. There's a small change in the spelling, but Peter Maiva or Maivia,
The
I
high
remember,
chief.
was coming to Texas. He was a star, and he was a badass. He just exuded that. You knew it when you looked at this fire plug. Nicest guy in the world until you made him mad. If he was your friend, great. But if you crossed him, bad news for you. So, the famous story between Peter Maivia, I believe it was, and Billy Robinson. You ever seen Billy Robinson's eye?
No, he's
Well,
pulled it out or tried to pull it out.
tried to pull it out, yeah, in a hotel
Wow.
room. Yeah, and the boys got in between them, said no eyes. It's got to be a real legitimate fight. I guess everybody was drunk, and Maivia went to get his eye. So Billy had that messed up eye for the rest of his career. But that was legitimate tough guy stuff. That's the way they handled stuff back then. And the tradition continues. They've always been professional. The Maivia family, the away family, just the legacies continued with everyone that's come from that lineage. They have talent, they have passion for the business, and they're always looking to be better. Are they crazy? Are they off the wall sometimes? Of course. Professional wrestling is crazy and off the wall sometimes. And that's what a lot of people, I think, are missing the boat on. They're talking about the fact that AEW is getting a buzz by having people like Daniel Bryan and Cole.
CM Punk.
Adam Cole. Huh?
Adam Cole. I was going to say CM Punk.
CM Punk, yes. Those guys coming back. No doubt about it. That's something to get people buzzed about. But at the same time, WWE, when they say it's a marathon, not a sprint, they truly believe that because they can sit back and for whatever reasons they're selling things or firing people or whatever reason they're going down or getting rid of some things in a fire sale, I guess you might want to say. They have a strategy behind it. Who knows what it is? But I know enough to realize they're not going to do things without thinking about it first. And I know people don't believe that. People don't want to hear that. But it's true. And so there's got to be a method behind their madness, if it is indeed madness. But they're going to find talent, no matter where it is. He's going to outbid. Vince will outbid, outpay, whatever. When it comes right down to the bottom line, if there's something Vince wants done, he's going to get it done. And if there's somebody he wants, he's going to do everything he can to get them. And if he doesn't want them that bad, he'll let them know and let them go somewhere else. So the Usos have been an asset from day one, and they had to just grow into their role that they're in now. And the head of the table is a perfect personification of who Roman Reigns is. He is the guy right now. He is the guy. And it's authentic. And he's one of those quiet, silent type guys that if you hit the wrong button, it's going to explode. And that's authentic. That's real. Are they business? Of course. But if you want to play games, they're ready. They jump in full bore. So I'm glad to see the Usos doing good too.
Yeah, they're obviously right now SmackDown Tag Team Champions. They got the bloodline with Roman Reigns as the number one attraction in wrestling. I know everyone wants to say AEW, this and that, but 2.2 million every week is killing whatever AEW is doing really by almost a million each week. So it reigns. He's the big draw. But you have to have the ancillary characters. You got to get the other group going, and the Usos are the perfect guys to be with him, whether they're wrestling the Mysterios or the Street Profits or whoever. They're always top of the card type of guys. Did you know initially, like when they got signed and brought into FCW, that they were Rikishi's kids? And like, okay, you like automatically know, okay, they're going to be good. They're Samoan, they're Rikishi's kids. Let's go, basically.
Well, we knew they were Rikishi's sons. We were well aware of that, obviously. But you don't. Let me say, I'll speak for myself. I don't know until I see somebody actually step in the ring and work. I can assume all day long, but you have an idea where these guys' mindsets are at, where the work ethic comes from, and from day one, as I said, in FCW, these are the kind of guys I love to coach because you could tell them one thing and they can add their spin to it. And that's what you're supposed to do, in my opinion, is give talent some direction, but also give them the option. Uh, if they have something better, they're feeling this better than what you have, by all means, let's see it. Let's try it. Let's see if it looks good. Let's see if it looks great. And those guys did. And the great thing is they were not only coachable, but I enjoyed coaching them. I enjoyed being in the ring and watching them work because they had a flavor, they had a technique, they had their way of doing things, and that it was unique from anybody else. And I met Alpha and Sika in 1980, and man, they were the coolest guys I thought in the world. I met them in Japan for the first time, and big badass guys. But they showed me that if you're loyal to them, they'll be loyal to you. And those are the guys you want in the fight. Also, those are the guys you want in your crew in a company like WWE, because all you have to do is explain what you want and how you want it. You can give them an idea or an outline, and they can take it and they can fill in the blanks and they can make it make sense. And not everybody can do that. But the Samoans and the Fatus, the Usos, they were raised in it. They got it. They loved it. And had a passion for it. As the business changed, they kept their passion, which is also sometimes hard to hold on to. And sometimes we get off and lose it for a little bit and find it when it comes back, to things like great angles, great storylines. And when you had the Usos and Roman Reigns showing that dominance as the head of the table, that was something I think wrestling fans liked, enjoyed, and appreciated because it was authentic. And Paul Heyman is the ultimate conniving, manipulating boss, manager. But Roman Reigns lets him know that he's the guy in charge. And Paul will say, yes, 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 Mr. Samoan Chief, but I just was doing what I thought was best for you. And it works. It works. And I think everybody's working very well right now. And especially, you're right. I think it's probably the best thing going right now on TV for wrestling. You got Punk and you got Bryan Danielson or Daniel Bryan over in AEW, but I really do hope it gets interesting again, more interesting than it already is. Wrestling's missing that right now.
Like, it's great to get those guys, but the booking, what I've seen so far is like, oh, come on. Like, you get the guys, you can't blow it with the booking. That's like Hall and Nash in WCW. Imagine if they didn't do the NWO or like, kind of like, oh, you're going to kind of feud with this guy, like, and not doing anything with him. And then the Hogan thing doesn't happen. Like, you got to build and blow it off. Just not great booking. I'm a little worried about that.
Well, there's the thing too. They're working 52 weeks a year. There's never a day off for those guys. And I was reading a book about Saturday Night Live, just interviewing the cast. Have you ever seen it? Have you ever read it?
No, no.
The system.
Though.
It really is. It's the same system that WWE does with the writers. Again, you're writing and you're waiting on meetings sometimes Tuesday night, that don't go in until 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. How does that happen? Because that's the way it goes. That's the way it is. That's the system. And people go, my God, that's got to be crazy. Well, yeah, that's why not a lot of people can do it. Not a lot of people are doing it. There's a few who come in and stay for a day and leave. A few who come in and stay for a week, a month, and then say this is insane. But that's what it is. And they're the people who are booking this and writing TVs. Just from what I know, and I haven't been around obviously recently. But I do know this, that if it's an idea that the boss doesn't like, the boss being Vince, well, then he's going to demand something else, and you've got to keep going until something hits. Michael Hayes is really good at what he does. Michael's Michael, but he does know what he knows what works. You have to have the talent to be able to pull it off. Is it one of those things where you can get just anybody off the street who looks good and teach them? I've never felt that way. I felt you have to have some kind of feeling for this. You have to have passion for this. You got to love this. And you got to know who came before you. And you got to know who's in the mix right then. Because this is showbiz. You say the wrong thing, you do the wrong thing, whatever that might be at that time, well, it is the game we play. It's life. Not just in wrestling, it's in any business. You have to navigate the waters. You got to know the lay of the land. You got to know who the guys are that you need to favor to, and you need to write for, and you need to make good stuff for, because those guys will also take whatever you give them and make it better, like a Roman Reigns, like a Paul Heyman, and Usos, or whoever else is on top, Lashley's, things like that. Does it always work out? No, but it's a different business, and people have so many things to watch today and so many things to keep their interest. What is it? Who is it that's going to be that extraordinary human being people are going to want to tune into, either listen to or watch on a weekly basis? On a weekly basis, new content every single week for 2 shows. You got 3 hours, 2 hours, plus the syndicated stuff. I mean, it's a demanding job, and it's one of those things that if you're not good at it and you're not on your toes and you don't thrive in that environment, you won't be around long. So, is it great booking all the time? No, of course not. But there will be those times when it's just kind of flatlining and waiting for something special to happen. Because if it happened all the time, then it wouldn't be special. It was a different vibe in the Attitude Era because there were different characters and there were different personas that you were allowed to go out and drink beer. You were allowed to say, hell yeah, and damn, and all that stuff. And now we're more and more family-friendly program. And is that, I don't know that that's always the most interesting way to go, but maybe it'll get you more viewers. I don't know. That's my opinion.
So with the Usos and FCW, they're not there very long. I mean, they come in January of 2010. They're basically gone by June and July. Did you guys know that going in, or did they see something? Did you say to them, hey, they're ready already? Like, what was the thought process there? They didn't spend that much time in FCW.
No, but they were being looked at, obviously, because of their pedigree, because of the legacy, the family lineage. And these guys were great. They were raw talent, and they were actual twins, had a great attitude. But they were young. And sometimes when you youth is wasted on the young, and they would progress, and people would see that and hear on the reports that we would have to write. Sometimes we did weekly, and sometimes we did monthly, but we always had a report by the end of the month about all the talent there. So, and I know the Usos especially, Norman, Steve, myself, the other coaches who were there, always talked about the Usos and how natural they were in the ring, and how they could work with anybody and make it a great match, make it a great event. So, again, they were doing things that legitimate brothers, legitimate tag team partners would do. They clicked. They understood psychology. They understood what they had to do because they watched it their whole life. They were around it their whole life. They were in the locker rooms. The environment was a whole different thing back then. It was a whole different vibe. You walk in and you would hear stories. You would hear promos. You would watch the guys interact, heels and baby faces, and you would hear and watch how ideas came about. And sometimes it just comes from one guy telling a story about what happened last night. And somebody says, oh, yeah, well, here's what happened to me last night. And you combine the stories, and out of it, you may get something that you can cut a promo about. You may get something that you can deliver and perform for the writers and get on Raw or SmackDown. And it has all this authenticity behind it, mixed in with a little bit of this and that and storytelling and little conjecture here, conjecture there, and maybe you add to it and make it bigger or smaller than it was. But you had something interesting. And if they could make it about themselves and make it personal and throw it back to who they're wrestling, that's what they did. And that's a lost art in itself, hearing the stories in the locker room and watching the boys interact and watching things that happen and notice it and say, hey, we could do that in a match, or we could do that in a promo, or if you said it just like you said it there. And a lot of people don't understand that. Some of these old school ways and old school devices of doing things and the way we did things was on the air, but it came from just somebody having a mannerism or somebody talking about something and being adding an accent to it, or adding an extra bit of Bobby Jagger's lies and misconceptions, if you will, and making fun of it, or making an angle out of it. They poured Bobby Jaggers. Are you familiar with Bobby Jaggers?
Oh yeah. That's
Okay.
Your buddy Dutch's old partner.
Correct. Kansas Jayhawks. Well, in San Antonio, the implication or the comment, social comment made when they poured horse manure on Bobby Jaggers live on TV, it was because Bobby would tell so much horse shit in the locker room. They thought, what if we do this angle? And a lot of people don't get that, where the ideas come from. A lot of it was just interacting with the crew, interacting with the guys on the road trips, in the locker room, in the ring, just listening and coming up with this crazy stuff. Hey, what if we do this? And we drop Bobby with horse shit because he's so full of horse shit, it won't hurt him, and that's a lost art, being able to tell a story, being able to make people either laugh, cry, enjoy it as it comes. Guys like the Usos, guys like the Roman Reigns, and guys like the Bobby Lashley's and the authentic guys, Brock Lesnar's. That's a huge part of that is missing. not just in WWE, but all over the place. And it'll be great when wrestling gets back to the unpredictability. And it's had a taste of it the last month with Punk,
Yep.
Daniel Bryan, and
Adam Cole.
Baby.
Yep. So the Usos, obviously 5-time SmackDown champions, a few-time Raw Tag Team champions, FCW Tag Team champions. In the small time that they were there, they were champs. So, I mean, they've had quite a run. They've done some main events. Obviously, they're part of the biggest storyline right now. Jey Uso had a main event feud with Roman Reigns over a year ago. That was very, very good and compelling. What do you think overall of the Usos and the future? Is it because they're twins, it's always going to be tag team thing, or you think they could separate and be top of the card type guys?
Yeah, I certainly think they can separate and be top card guys. I really do. I think that their talent speaks for itself. And the great thing, well, again, I haven't been there a while, but the great thing about WWE was if you had a convincing, I don't want to say argument, but a convincing plan, and you knew how to present it, and you knew how to sell it, and you had to be enthusiastic, and you had to know how to convince and sway whoever it might have been at that time who was in charge. You know, that can always happen. And those guys, the way you do that again is learning confidence, earning confidence, and finding it. And being able to convince, let's just say it would be Vince or Bruce or Kevin or John, or whoever it may be, or Hunter. If you do it in a convincing manner and sure of yourself, then they have enough confidence in you, they'll let you try it. Austin, when he was hot, red hot, anything he did, even when it wasn't what they wanted, it worked. And what's that going to take today? I don't know. But if it's anybody, I think the Usos, just because they're twins, they don't have to always be a team. I think they can go separate ways. I think they can do a great singles angle and still be just as great, no matter what, together or apart.
I don't know if you also saw Sefa Fatu, Joe Fatu, the youngest brother of Rikishi. They're the youngest son of Rikishi, the youngest brother of Jimmy Jey. He just got signed too. So it's like, man, I mean, obviously the Samoans have a great lineage, but it just keeps going.
Yeah, and it should keep going. I really do believe it should keep going. When you have that passion in the family and you have that bloodline flowing through you, and you watch everybody who comes through have some sort of success and happiness and fulfillment. It makes sense to bring those guys in, see what they've got, see if they're coachable, and most certainly those guys are. They've watched their dads, they watch their cousins, and everybody grow up around them. Met another guy, Jacob Fatu, with MLW. Talk about talent. Oh my God, this guy is incredible.
Yep.
And he has, from what I've been around him a few times, he has the attitude. He understands it. For whatever reason, he's where he is. Doesn't mean he's going to be there forever. But as long as you're staying consistent, and I believe he hasn't been injured. He's staying healthy, and he goes out and performs every opportunity with MLW, and I believe on the West Coast too. He goes out and has these great matches with these obscure people who, your hardcore wrestling fans are going to know, but not the average wrestling fan or casual wrestling fan would know. But once you see them, once you're exposed to these guys, and you see what they can do, you are amazed. You can't help but be amazed, and you can't help but be impressed. So, yeah, I think going back to the Usos, I think the future looks pretty bright for both of them, and talent turns over all the time. But I think they still have a long, long lifespan in WWE or wherever they wind up. I really do.
Yeah, I think they're great. One of the best tag teams for sure the last 10 years. No doubt about that. But let's end
Yeah.
it on that note and head to the plugs. Of course, let's talk about your book first. A pro wrestling curriculum, advice, suggestions, and stories to help the aspiring pro get to the next level. Great title. Dr. Tom, where can they get this awesome book?
They can get that awesome book at jpwrestlingacademy.com on the front page. Click the link, take you right to Amazon, order it, and you will be in style, I think, if you order that book. But it's jpwrestlingacademy.com. Check it out. It also has our dates and times for the next class, which will start in October. Coming up very, very soon.
Yeah, very soon. Damn. That shot up quickly. Whew. Man, that went by quick. But
Yes,
as far as, as far as some other
What
plugs,
happened summer? I really didn't have a summer. I was in a sweat box all summer.
every year
Not
goes by
complaining,
faster.
just saying where I was at. Okay.
And every year goes by faster and faster. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Pro Wrestling Tees, of course, prowrestlingtees.com. Check out the JPWA store. Check out the Dr. Tom store. Also, you can check me out at Twitter and Instagram at Two Man Power Trip. Check out the website tmptempire.com. And of course, you can follow Dr. Tom on social media and Twitter at Dr. Tom Prichard. Dr. Tom, what else you got going on?
While we're recording this, I actually I'm going to Altoona this weekend. So I have that, and I have a couple of other things coming up before the end of the year. But it's gone by fast, and sometimes that's a good thing. Other times I wonder where it went. But I like being busy, and we've been really, really busy. So I'm looking forward to the October session, and then we finish up December 10th. And then we're going to start back 2022, and man, it's really flown by. So.
Crazy how fast it's going by. But like to thank everybody for tuning in. We'll see you right back here next week for a little Taking You to School with Dr. Tom Prichard. We'll see you next week, folks.